Hey everyone! Today we're going to journey back in time, way back, to explore one of the most incredible periods in ancient history, India's second urbanization. This was a time when everything changed. We're talking about scattered settlements blowing up into powerful kingdoms, bustling cities, and becoming these crucial hubs in a truly global network of trade and ideas. So let's get into it and see how it all kicked off. So here's the big question we're tackling, right? How did this even happen? How did these small groups of people just getting used to their own territory manage to evolve into these massive political and economic forces that would make waves from Rome all the way to China? Well, that's the amazing story we're going to unpack, and it all starts with a simple idea of home. And it really does all begin with this one super important concept, the Janapada. Literally, it means the foothold of a people. And look, this was so much more than just people deciding to stop wandering around. It was a total mindset shift. It's that moment when people became truly conscious of their specific territory, their land. This was the seed, the seed from which organized states, capital cities, and pretty much everything else would grow. So this new way of thinking, this territorial awareness, well, it was the spark that lit the fire. It led directly to the rise of India's first great states, the Mahajanapadas, and a whole new political map started to get drawn. 16. That's the number of major states, or as they were called, Mahajanapadas, that popped up during this era. Most of them were clustered in the unbelievably fertile Ganga River Valley, and these 16 kingdoms basically became the political chessboard of ancient India. Ancient texts like the Anguttara Nikaya give us a list of the heavy hitters. We're talking about powerful kingdoms like Magadha and Gandhara. And just to give you a cool then and now connection, the ancient kingdom of Kashi, that's right where the modern city of Varanasi stands today. So these weren't just names on some old map. They were vibrant, competing centers of real power. Okay, but you know how it goes. When you have 16 different kingdoms all vying for power, it's only a matter of time before one of them starts to pull ahead of the pack. And soon enough, the balance of power was about to shift dramatically. So the big question is, why Magadha? What was their secret sauce? Well, they had some serious strategic advantages. Being right in the fertile Ganga plains meant they had a massive surplus of food, enough to feed a huge population and, more importantly, a large standing army. They also had easy access to key resources like timber for building and iron for weapons. And on top of all that, they were smart, using military might and clever marriage alliances to swallow up powerful neighbors like Kashi and Kosala. Magadha was basically playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. But hold on, this political explosion didn't just happen on its own. It was being fueled by an economic engine that was just as dynamic. We're talking about these massive trade networks that were crisscrossing the entire subcontinent. Just look at this. These were the two main arteries of commerce. You had the Uttarapata, the Great Northern Highway, which connected the heartland of the Ganga Valley all the way out to Central Asia. Then you had the Dakshinapata, the Southern Highway, linking the north to the resource-rich Deccan and all those bustling port cities down south. These weren't just roads. They were economic superhighways, moving goods, wealth, and people on a scale never seen before. So, who was running all this trade? Well, you have to meet the Shrenis, or guilds. And let me tell you, these were incredibly sophisticated organizations of merchants, artisans, and craftsmen. These weren't just your local business clubs. They set quality standards, they fixed the rules of work, and they even acted like banks, holding huge investments and wielding immense economic power. And at the very top of these guilds, leading the massive trade caravans, you had the Cephas, or Shreshtis. Think of these guys as the CEOs and the venture capitalists of the ancient world. They were a powerful new social elite, and their power didn't come from their family name. It came from their wealth and their business smarts. Fun fact, the modern term Seth comes directly from this ancient title. And if you want to get a sense of just how unbelievably wealthy these merchants were, get this story about a famous one named Anathapindika. He wanted to donate a park to the Buddha, so he bought it by covering the entire surface of the ground with gold coins. Just picture that. That's not just being rich, that's a statement. It shows you the incredible economic clout these individuals had. Now, these trade networks inside India were amazing, but here's where the story goes from big to absolutely global. What made this era so transformative was how these local networks plugged into a much, much larger system. Let's zoom out and see how India became the central hub of the entire ancient world. The trade with the Roman Empire alone was just staggering. India was exporting all the luxury goods that Rome couldn't get enough of: spices, especially pepper, which was literally worth its weight in gold in Rome, fine textiles, precious stones. And what was coming back? Roman wine in these cool jars called amphorae, high-quality glass, and a flood, a massive, massive flood of Roman gold and silver coins to pay for it all. And it wasn't just a one-way street to Rome, oh no. That northern route, the Uttarapata, connected India directly to the legendary Silk Road. Sea routes created this thriving trade with the Arab world for things like prized Arabian horses. And there was more sea trade with Southeast Asia, what they called Suvarnabhumi, the land of gold, for even more exotic spices. India was truly smack dab in the center of everything. But here's the thing, and this might be the most important point of all. It was never, ever just about the goods. Wherever these traders and caravans went, they carried something far more valuable with them: their culture, their philosophies, their knowledge, their ideas. Just take a look at the city of Taxila. It's the perfect case study of this cultural fusion. I mean, look who controlled it over the centuries. Persians, then Greeks after Alexander's invasion, then the Mauryans, then the Kushans. Because it was sitting right on these major trade routes, Taxila became this incredible melting pot where different empires and cultures didn't just pass through. They ruled, they settled down, and they mixed. And all of this cultural mixing created these legendary hubs of knowledge. Great university centers like Taxila in the northwest and Nalanda in the east became magnets for scholars from all over Asia. They came to study and debate everything: medicine, mathematics, logic, philosophy. In these places, ideas were the most valuable commodity being traded. And all of this brings us to a final thought. You know, we love to talk about our modern era as the age of globalization. But when you really look at how deeply interconnected the ancient world was, with goods, people, and profound ideas flowing freely across continents over 2,000 years ago, it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? In our age of digital borders and divides, are we truly more connected, or are we just connected differently? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.